My brother's fiancée told my 8-year-old daughter she couldn't be her flower girl because, according to her, she was too ugly, and in that instant, the wedding was over. I was helping Cassandra adjust her veil when she suddenly lost control and snapped. She said she couldn't let Hannah walk down the aisle looking like that because she would ruin the inspiration for her photographer, who charges $40,000. My daughter stood there frozen, right in the middle of twirling in her little flower girl dress, and the smile she had been wearing vanished completely. Since birth, Hannah has had a birthmark on her cheek, and we have always told her that it makes her special, but Cassandra, without thinking, told me, "Seriously, Daniel, couldn't you have removed that with laser treatment before my big day? It completely clashes with my aesthetic." A heavy silence immediately fell over the room. My mom, in her shock, dropped the iron she was using. 3 of the bridesmaids stood there in shock while I watched Hannah's eyes fill with tears. What Cassandra didn't imagine was that I had been recording everything with my cell phone for about an hour, documenting her little show to show my brother Jonathan, who was getting ready downstairs. Now, here is where things went to hell. Hannah didn't just stand there crying. The poor thing looked at her with her big brown eyes and murmured, barely audible, "I'm sorry for being ugly, Aunt Cassandra. I didn't know. I felt my heart break into 1,000 pieces. I barely managed to send the video to the family group chat named Jonathan's Wedding Day. Within seconds, my phone exploded with messages. My brother's message simply said, "The wedding is cancelled." And that was before I even had time to go downstairs because Cassandra was still ranting. She said, "Thank goodness Jonathan and I are never going to have kids that turn out like that." Can you imagine the embarrassment at the school gate? The bridesmaids couldn't have opened their eyes any wider. One of them, Stephanie, literally stepped aside as if Cassandra were contagious. I watched my daughter's world collapse. She ran into the bathroom, locked herself in, and cried so loud you could hear it outside. Look, before continuing with this story, I have to explain about Hannah's mark. It is a port wine stain that covers about a third of her left cheek. The doctors, the day she was born, said it was totally harmless, just a group of blood vessels close to the skin. They did mention that some people remove them for aesthetic reasons, but that it wasn't mandatory, and we never considered it. To us, Hannah is Hannah, period. Just as we all have little things that make us unique, that was hers. We have always told her she is beautiful just as she is, and she felt that way. Until today. But apparently, for Cassandra, it was as if she had a huge defect that was going to ruin her Pinterest wedding. This woman had been obsessed for 6 months with every single detail, and I'm not exaggerating. The flowers had to be a specific pink, chosen after looking at tons of catalogs. Even the napkins had to be folded with an origami technique that the venue staff had to practice several times. She made the bridesmaids go 3 times to different spray tan places because they couldn't get the exact shade she wanted. She had a Pinterest board with thousands of photos, Excel sheets with color codes, and the wedding schedule broken down first by hour, then by half hour, and finally, even by quarter hour. Once, my mom joked that Cassandra was more organized with the wedding than NASA launching rockets. My dad played along, saying the difference was that NASA at least had more important objectives than gathering likes on Instagram. And there she was, in her expensive $8,000 dress bought at a boutique in Manhattan, telling an 8-year-old girl to her face that she was too ugly to be in the ceremony. By the way, she had the dress adjusted 3 times because she kept changing her opinion on the train. 3 fittings. I'm sure the seamstress was about to charge her triple just for her patience. Jonathan was already stressed about the extra bills and wedding expenses, but Cassandra just kept adding and adding things. "It's just one day," she would say every time they talked about money. "A special day. We can't skimp on quality." But for her, that didn't include treating a child decently. I remember perfectly the day she asked Hannah to be her flower girl. It was about 7 months ago when everything was still normal. Hannah was so excited she even cried with happiness. She went all over the house jumping and screaming, "I'm going to be a flower girl. I'm going to be a flower girl." She bragged to all her friends at school, to her teacher, and she even drew pictures in art class of herself in her dream dress for the wedding. Cassandra smiled and told her she would be the prettiest flower girl, that she looked like a princess. She even took her shopping and let her choose the dress she wanted. They made a whole special day out of it. I honestly thought it was sweet that Cassandra was trying to get along with the family and fit in. And look at us now. The bridal suite was on the 2nd floor of one of those old, elegant places that Cassandra chose just because it looked like a magazine in photos. Huge windows, chandeliers, marble floors, total luxury. Just the room cost $15,000, non-refundable. Although there were options just as pretty and much cheaper, she insisted. "This has the ideal aesthetic," she said, showing Jonathan every wedding shot she found. Jonathan tried to suggest more modest things. He earns well, but not for a $40,000 wedding. But Cassandra's parents offered to pay whatever was missing because, according to them, their daughter had to have the perfect day. Now imagine if they aren't regretting it. When Cassandra let out those comments, we were in the room. Her, my mom, Hannah, and 3 bridesmaids. Stephanie, whom I already mentioned, Jessica, and Lauren. Jessica had been her friend in college, although not that close until she needed bridesmaids, and Lauren was her colleague at the marketing agency. We were all doing the same thing, steaming wrinkles out of the champagne-colored dresses, when Cassandra exploded, although honestly, it had been coming. An hour earlier, Hannah had stained her flower girl dress a tiny bit with a drop of juice, something minimal that was barely noticeable, but Cassandra screamed to the heavens. But she wasn't worried. She was furious and looking for someone to blame. She started yelling that everything had to be perfect, that she couldn't let anything fail, that she had invested too much money and time for something to go wrong. Her voice became high-pitched, her face turned red, and we all froze. "Do you know how much this wedding cost?" she screamed at Hannah, who at that moment started crying. "Do you have the slightest idea? And you're still so careless that you're spilling things?" Hannah was 8 years old and was drinking apple juice from those little boxes they give to kids. Accidents happen. My mom removed the stain with mineral water and a couple of napkins. She spent 5 minutes scrubbing while Cassandra stood over her, breathing fast, clearly about to explode, almost between a panic attack and a tantrum. I honestly don't know which of the two it was. When my mom finished, the stain wasn't even noticeable, the dress was impeccable. But Cassandra couldn't relax. She paced back and forth in the room, checking her makeup, her hair, the dress, murmuring things about the schedule, the photographers, and that everything had to be perfect. That was when I took out my cell phone and started recording. I had that weird feeling. You know, like when it smells like heavy rain and you know the storm is about to break. And I needed to have proof. I thought that if Cassandra really lost her mind, Jonathan had to find out before tying himself to someone like that. Before going up to the altar and promising his whole life to someone who maybe wasn't who he believed. I pretended I was checking messages, but I was recording everything without anyone realizing, with the phone half hidden so the red dot wouldn't be seen. The atmosphere was already tense. Jessica and Lauren looked at each other nervously. Stephanie was biting her lip. My mom was next to Hannah, trying to protect her. And meanwhile, Cassandra was falling apart. Just then, Hannah did a little twirl, because she was so excited about her dress. Do you understand me? Despite all the drama, she was happy. She felt it would be the best day of her life. She was in white with pink flowers embroidered on the skirt and patent leather pink shoes, the cute ones she chose. Her hair was curled and pulled back with little flower clips matching the dress. She looked truly beautiful. She spun around and asked, "Aunt Cassandra, do you like my dress? Do I look pretty?" She said it hopefully, with the purest innocence, seeking Cassandra's approval with all her might. And that was when Cassandra exploded. I can't let Hannah walk down the aisle like that. She's going to ruin the photo I have planned with my $40,000 photographer. And the way she let it out wasn't discreet at all. It was out loud, without caring even a little about Hannah's feelings, as if she were just a piece of furniture that clashed. Hannah stood frozen mid-turn, her smile erased instantly, as if someone had turned off the light inside her, completely confused. Not understanding why she was saying that, trying to process what she was hearing, but it didn't click. And Cassandra continued. "Seriously, Daniel, couldn't you do something about that before my day? It doesn't fit my aesthetic." It was at that moment that Hannah's face changed. That's when she understood what she was talking about. It clicked that Cassandra was referring to her birthmark, to her face, to herself. Without thinking, she brought her hand to her cheek and touched the wine stain, as if she suddenly remembered it existed, as if she needed to feel it to make sure it was really there. My mom dropped the iron she was holding. It fell heavily on the wooden floor, making a tremendous noise. Steam shot up toward the ceiling. Jessica and Lauren screamed and covered their mouths. Stephanie stepped back, moving away from Cassandra as if she had just said something so frightful she needed to create distance. Hannah's eyes filled with tears, not little by little, but all at once, and her lower lip started to tremble. And Cassandra, out of her mind, didn't stop. It was as if all the accumulated stress was coming out in the worst way. I mean, I tried to give hints before. I sent you 1,000 articles about how to remove birthmarks. I thought you would understand. But here we are, and it's still visible. And my photographer asked for a color palette and uniform aesthetic in all the photos. My hand was shaking from rage and nerves, but I kept recording steadily because, although the only thing I wanted was to drop the phone and run to hug Hannah, I couldn't let the moment pass. Then Hannah whispered, "Sorry for being ugly, Aunt Cassandra. I didn't know." Her voice sounded so small, so broken, so full of pain that it didn't even sound like her. It sounded like a girl who just realized the world can be cruel, that people can hurt you, that something she was always taught was special was now a source of shame. That's when I stopped recording and hit send. My finger moved without thinking. I sent the video to the family group chat, and in seconds it was uploaded. Jonathan was there. My mom, my dad, Jonathan's dad, various aunts. In an instant, my cell phone filled with alerts. My dad. What the hell? My aunt. Was that serious? Jonathan's dad. Where are you guys? And then Jonathan directly. The wedding is cancelled. Just like that. 4 words. The wedding is cancelled. I looked up and saw Cassandra. She wasn't even aware of what had just happened. She kept ranting. Good thing Jonathan and I are never going to have kids like that. Can you imagine? I'd die of shame picking up a child like that at school. All the moms watching me. People asking what happened to my daughter. She said it as if Hannah wasn't even present. As if she weren't a person with feelings who could hear every word. Jessica covered her mouth. Lauren had eyes full of tears, and Stephanie moved further away, putting more space between herself and Cassandra. And it was then that Hannah broke. It wasn't a loud or scandalous cry. It was a quiet and terrible sob. And she ran out. She went straight to lock herself in the bathroom. And although she closed the door, her cries could be heard. The kind that break your soul. I ran after her, but my mom had already arrived. "Hannah, my love, open the door," she told her with a voice full of pain. "I'm ugly," Hannah sobbed from the other side. "I'm ugly, and I ruin everything." My mom put her forehead on the bathroom door. "You are not ugly, my life. You are precious. Very, very precious." And behind us, Cassandra actually let out a huff. She really did that. As if she didn't care. Oh, come on, she'll get over it. Kids withstand everything. That was when I really turned to look at her. This woman was going to be my sister-in-law. Part of my family. She had just destroyed my 8-year-old daughter's self-esteem, and she was behaving as if nothing had happened. "Get out of here," I told her. Cassandra froze. "What? Get out of this room, now." "Excuse me, but this is my bridal suite. It's my wedding. You can't tell me." Suddenly the door burst open. Jonathan was there, in his tuxedo. His face red and his jaw so tight it looked like it was going to explode. He was holding his cell phone with the video still playing. He looked at Cassandra and me, and then turned toward the bathroom door where Hannah was still crying. "Pack your bags," Jonathan told Cassandra with a voice so calm it was scary. "You have 30 minutes to leave here." Cassandra let out a laugh. She actually laughed. "Jonathan, don't be ridiculous. I was stressed. I said things without thinking. All brides have crises like this. You're not going to cancel the wedding because I called your niece ugly?" Jonathan interrupted her, raising his voice. "For saying you'd be ashamed to have children that look like her. For telling an 8-year-old girl she ruins things just by being present. I didn't say she ruins things. I said she would ruin the photos. Get out." Cassandra's smile vanished. The sweet facade crumbled, and she finally showed the true face she had been hiding from Jonathan for months. "You're being absurd!" she snapped at him. "Do you have any idea how much money was spent on this wedding? Do you know how many people are downstairs waiting? You can't cancel the wedding just for an insignificant comment about a girl's face." Jonathan clenched his fists. "An insignificant comment? I just watched you destroy my niece. I heard you call her ugly. I heard you say you'd be ashamed to have children like her. And you still stand here like it's nothing? It's not a big deal. She'll get over it. Kids forget fast." "I'm not going to forget it," said Jonathan almost in a whisper. "I'm never going to forget this. And I'm never going to forgive you. It's over, Cassandra. It's over." He started making calls from his cell phone. First to the judge, then the DJ, then the caterer. "Yes. This is Jonathan Pierce. I need to cancel." "Yes. Today's wedding. No, it's not happening anymore. I understand there's no refund. That's fine." Cassandra tried to take the phone from him. "Jonathan, stop. Don't do this. You're going to regret it." "The only thing I regret," said Jonathan, pulling the phone away, "is not having seen you for who you are sooner." The bridesmaids were still there, stiff, not knowing what to do. Cassandra's parents arrived about 15 minutes later. Her dad entered red-faced, sweating, looking unfriendly. Her mom looked undone from crying so much. "What is going on?" asked her dad, demanding answers. "5 people already called us saying the wedding is cancelled." Jonathan took out his cell phone and showed them the full video. Upon finishing, Cassandra's mom was pale. "Cassie, please, tell me you didn't say that." "Oh Mom, stop, everyone is exaggerating." Her dad reviewed the video twice, and then looked at her as if he didn't know her. "Did you really say that to a child?" "You don't understand, Dad. I had a plan for the wedding." "A plan?" Her dad cut her off, raising his voice. "A plan was more important than being a good person?" Cassandra crossed her arms. "It doesn't matter. This will be fixed soon. Jonathan will calm down. We're just going to postpone a few months and that's it." "There won't be any postponement," Jonathan responded. "I already spoke and cancelled everything. It's finished." That's when Cassandra really panicked. She started pulling at her dress and hair, pacing from one side to the other like a caged lioness. No, this can't be. Today is my day. Everything was supposed to be perfect." Jonathan's dad arrived at that moment, all ready with the groomsmen. As soon as he saw the disaster, he let out a sigh. "Son, can we talk outside for a moment?" They went out of the suite together. I stayed with my mom, who was still trying to get Hannah out of the bathroom. After about 10 minutes, Hannah finally opened the door. Her face was swollen, eyes teary, nose running. My mom hugged her so tight, as if she wanted to erase the pain with a hug. "Sorry, Grandma," Hannah sobbed. "Sorry for being ugly." "Don't even say that," my mom answered, with all the certainty in the world. "You aren't ugly. Did you hear me? You are precious. That woman is sick in the head. Nothing she said is true." Hannah clung to my mom's shoulder and cried a while longer. Cassandra's parents left afterward, the mom destroyed, and the dad with a look of total disappointment toward his daughter. The bridesmaids started gathering their things in silence. Jessica looked at Cassandra as if she didn't recognize her, and Lauren didn't even turn to look at her. Stephanie approached me. "I'm truly sorry," she whispered. "If I had known how she was, I would never have accepted being a bridesmaid." "This isn't your fault," I answered her. "Is Hannah going to be okay?" I turned to see my daughter, who was still curled up in a ball in my mom's arms. "She'll be okay. It's just a matter of time." Jonathan and his dad returned. Now Jonathan looked calmer, but he had a hard look as if something inside him had changed. "The venue is already paid for," he said, "and the deposit can't be recovered, so we're not going to waste it." Cassandra's hope returned. "So you are going to get married?" "No," said Jonathan dryly. "We are going to turn this day into a special day for Hannah." "What?" "Just as you hear. Hannah is going to put on her flower girl dress. She is going to walk down the aisle and be the princess she deserves to be. And you," Jonathan looked at Cassandra with all the contempt in the world, "you are getting out of here right now." She wanted to protest, but Jonathan's dad stepped forward. "The contract says that if the bride or groom cancels for misconduct, they lose all rights to the venue and services. And verbally assaulting a minor is undoubtedly misconduct. That's not fair." "Life isn't fair," said Jonathan. "And you should know that. You just demonstrated it to an 8-year-old girl." Cassandra grabbed her bag and left in a fury, still wearing the white dress. Her heels could be heard moving away down the hallway. And then, it was just us. Jonathan crouched down to be at Hannah's height. "Hi, Princess." She looked at him with eyes full of tears. "Sorry for ruining your wedding, Uncle Jonathan." "You didn't ruin anything," he responded sweetly. "You saved me. You opened my eyes before I made the worst mistake of my life. You are my heroine, Hannah. Did you know that?" She blew her nose. "Really? Really? And you know what? Today is going to be your day. You're going to walk down the aisle like the beautiful princess you are. You're going to throw petals everywhere, and we're going to take so many photos that you're going to get tired of smiling so much." Finally, a small smile appeared on Hannah's face. "Can I really?" "Of course you can." Jonathan stood up and offered his hand. "Come on, let's show everyone how pretty you are." Hannah accepted his hand, and they went out together. The photographer found us in the hallway. He was a man of about 50, with a kind face and the look of someone who has daughters. We knew it immediately. "I heard everything," he said in a low voice. "What happened was unforgivable. I want to tell you that I am going to take the best photos of Hannah's life and I am not going to charge you anything." "Really, you don't have to do that," I tried to tell him. But he insisted. "I want to do it. I have daughters." If someone spoke to them like that. He fell silent and clenched his jaw. "Let me do this, please." And so it was. We went down to the main hall, which was beautiful with giant ceilings and huge windows where all the light came in. The white chairs arranged perfectly evenly. Flowers everywhere, and an arch decorated with pale pink roses. Almost all the guests had already arrived, sitting in their places, all super dressed up, waiting for a wedding that was never going to happen. Jonathan went to the front and asked for everyone's attention. "I need to tell you something," he said, taking the microphone the DJ passed him. "The The wedding is not going to happen. When he said it, murmurs and some shouts of surprise were heard. The woman I was going to marry today showed her true colors this morning. She verbally assaulted my 8-year-old niece. She called her ugly because of a birthmark on her face. She even said she would be ashamed to have children who looked like her. The hall went completely silent. You could even hear people breathing. So there will be no wedding. But this place is already paid for and I don't intend to waste it. Let's better celebrate someone who does deserve to feel special today. My niece Hannah. He pointed to Hannah, who was by my side, still in her flower girl dress and very nervous, confused. Come Hannah, come here my girl. Hannah walked slowly toward Jonathan, who crouched down, hugged her and said in a loud voice so everyone could hear, today is your day. You are going to walk down this aisle like the princess you are. You are going to throw petals and everyone here is going to celebrate how incredible and beautiful you are. And then something incredible happened. People started clapping. One by one until everyone, all 150 people were standing and applauding. Many were crying and others were smiling. But Hannah knew in that moment that she was loved, important, and beautiful. Her face lit up. That smile that had been erased in the bridal suite returned suddenly. The DJ started playing music, but no waltzes or typical wedding music. Instead, Disney princess songs, which are Hannah's favorites. She went walking down the aisle throwing petals and everyone cheered her on. They took photos of her. They shouted nice things to her. You are precious, Hannah. You are a princess. We love you so much. The photographer didn't leave her side, capturing every twirl, every laugh, seeing her finally return to being happy. When she reached the end of the aisle, Jonathan picked her up and spun her around, and she let out a laugh so loud that even the petals flew everywhere. My mom was crying. I was too. Half the room was in tears. Afterward, the photographer did a super professional photo session. He put Hannah in different places, next to the window where the best light came in, on the second floor stairs, in front of the flower wall Cassandra had requested for photos. You have the makings of a model, the photographer told her. The camera adores you. See that birthmark? It's exactly what makes you unique, what makes you unforgettable. Hannah didn't stop smiling, radiant. We brought out the wedding cake. Enormous, 5 tiers and full of fondant flowers. Cassandra had fought over the design for months, and now we let Hannah stick her hand straight into a piece. Since seeing photos of smashed cakes on the internet, she always wanted to do it. So we set up a table for her, served her slice, and let her enjoy. She ended up all smeared with frosting on her hair, face, and dress, and she wouldn't stop laughing. The photographer didn't miss a single moment. The guests approached to talk to Hannah, tell her how cute she was, and take photos. The older ladies filled her with hugs, pinched her cheeks, and told her she looked like porcelain. The little kids asked her if she was a real princess. Even Jonathan's groomsmen, who at first didn't know where to put themselves, ended up playing with Hannah, teaching her funny dance moves, and making her laugh out loud. Everything turned out incredible. Around 3 in the afternoon, the party started to wind down. People were saying goodbye, but no one left without hugging Hannah and reminding her how much she was worth. Just then, Jonathan's dad took him aside. I was close and heard everything. My mom was helping Hannah wash the frosting off in the bathroom, so I stayed around while waiting for them to come out. Son, there is something you have to know, his dad told him in a low voice. Jonathan looked him straight in the eye. What happened, Dad? The older man took out his cell phone and showed it to him. I started investigating after you told me about the trust fund. I wanted to know if Cassandra was already aware before you proposed. And... yes, she already knew. She had been investigating everything about your grandmother's inheritance for months, even before dating you. I found a complete conversation on Facebook where she tells her friends. Jonathan's face went completely pale. What? Look, said his dad, showing him the screenshots. She knew about the $8 million trust fund. She knew the money would be released when you got married. And she was already planning to divorce you exactly a year and a day after the wedding to keep half. Jonathan read the messages with trembling hands. She was playing me all this time? I'm sorry, son. I know this hurts a lot. Hurts? Jonathan let out a bitter laugh. I thought she loved me. I really believed we were going to have a life together. And all this time she was just, what? Pretending. It seems so. Jonathan collapsed into a chair. There's more, right? Because if it were just that, you wouldn't have that look on your face. The dad hesitated. Is there someone else? A guy named Trevor Harrison. They've been together for more than a year. What do you mean more than a year? We've been together for 11 months. He was first. And according to these messages, they are still a couple. She told him that this weekend, she was coming to a work conference. Jonathan closed his eyes, devastated. So, she was cheating on me all this time? Yes. While his dad showed him everything on the cell phone, suddenly we heard a loud noise upstairs, right where the gifts were stored in the morning. And at that moment, Hannah screamed. But it wasn't a scream of happiness. It was a scream that froze the blood. The kind that only comes out when fear dominates you. Those who were still in the hall ran straight to the stairs. I was the first to arrive, taking the steps 2 at a time. When I entered the gift room, I saw Hannah standing in the middle of the mess, surrounded by boxes and wrapping paper thrown everywhere. One of the boxes had fallen, broken, and everything spilled on the floor. But what shook Hannah wasn't the broken box, but what was inside. It was photos. Photos that were too explicit. Cassandra with another man. They were scattered all over the floor. Some looked like simple couple photos, but others showed things that no 8-year-old girl should ever see. Hannah had her hands over her mouth, her eyes so wide it seemed the fright wouldn't even let her blink. The first thing I did was stand in front of her to block her view. Don't look, love, don't look, I told her. Just then my mom arrived at the door. She understood everything with just a glance and quickly took Hannah by the shoulders. Come, my life, let's get some fresh air. Hannah was trembling. Mom, what were those photos? Why was Aunt Cassandra? We'll talk later, okay? For now, let's go outside. My mom took her out of the room and kept her entertained with any chat, making animated conversation to calm her and distract her from what she had just seen. Soon after, Jonathan, his dad, and several groomsmen arrived. "What happened?" we heard Hannah scream. Jonathan froze when he saw the photos. "Good God," blurted one of the groomsmen. Jonathan crouched down and started gathering the photos, but his hands were shaking and he was pale as paper. That was when we realized those photos weren't just anything. They had numbers, as if someone had wanted to put them in order, and among them were plane tickets. 2 tickets to Bali for next week. Jonathan took them. "They aren't in my name," he said while checking. "They were for Cassandra Montgomery and Trevor Harrison." "Trevor Harrison?" I asked. "Who the hell is Trevor Harrison?" Jonathan turned a photo over. And on the back was a date. Written by hand by Cassandra. From 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Cassandra and Jonathan were deeply involved in wedding plans, organizing invitations, booking the banquet, making lists. And it turns out Cassandra was also taking intimate photos with someone named Trevor Harrison. "She was with someone else," said Jonathan quietly, as if he had no strength left. "All this time." He took another photo. And in that one, Cassandra was wearing an engagement ring, but it wasn't the one Jonathan had given her. It was another one. Much bigger and different. "Jonathan," I said carefully. "Look at this." He took the photo from me, stared at it, and then turned it over. On the back, the date was from even longer ago. 6 months back. "She was engaged to another guy," Jonathan murmured. "Before me or at the same time?" His dad continued reviewing the photos. "There are even some from over a year ago here, son." Jonathan dropped to the floor, surrounded by all the evidence of Cassandra's betrayal. "I don't understand. Why would someone do something like this? Why go to so much trouble?" Just then Stephanie appeared in the doorway. She had stayed to help clean up the bridal suite when all the others left. She saw the mess of photos and the color drained from her face. "It can't be." "Did you already know something?" Jonathan asked her. "Did you know she was cheating on me?" "That she was cheating on you?" "No. But it was weird. She was always on her cell phone, texting someone, smiling, and as soon as someone approached, she would put the phone away really fast. I thought she was organizing some surprise for the honeymoon or something like that." Jonathan looked at the plane tickets again. "They are for next week. Our honeymoon was in 2 weeks and it was in Hawaii." "So she was going to Bali with this Trevor before going with you to Hawaii?" I asked. "It seems so," he answered. Stephanie started helping me gather the photos. "Wait, I know this Trevor guy. I've seen him before," she said. "Where?" Jonathan wanted to know. "At the charity gala 3 months ago." "Do you remember Cassandra took me because you couldn't go due to your work conference?" "Yes, I remember. Then she got upset with me because I didn't accompany her. Well, Trevor was there. Cassandra introduced him as a business colleague, said they were looking at an investment topic together." Jonathan's dad felt his cell phone vibrate. He checked and showed the screen to Jonathan. "Videos from the security camera this morning. The requested footage." Jonathan took the phone and watched the video. Every second that passed, he looked more serious. "What does it show?" I asked. "Cassandra bringing up that gift box herself. Early today, like at 6. She brought a wedding gift herself?" Stephanie furrowed her brow, confused. "That wasn't any gift," Jonathan answered dryly. "Someone sent her the photos so she would get caught, and she tried to hide them before anyone found them, but she surely got nervous and forgot them afterward." His dad nodded. "I think the same. Someone wanted you to know the truth." We finished gathering all the photos and tickets. There must have been 30 or 40 photos, some normal and others you wouldn't even want to look at. Also the tickets and what appeared to be hotel reservations in Bali. Jonathan stood up with all that in his hand. "I have to know who Trevor Harrison is." "I'm already looking him up," said one of the groomsmen, typing on his cell phone. "Trevor Harrison is 34 years old, works in finance, lives in Manhattan, and has quite active social media." He showed us Trevor's Instagram, open profile, lots of photos. And there, among the most recent ones, appeared Cassandra. "Celebrating a year with my beautiful fiancé," said the caption. He uploaded it 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, Cassandra was fully immersed in wedding plans with Jonathan, tasting cake, final dress fitting, sending invitations, and at the same time, celebrating a 1-year relationship with Trevor Harrison. "She's engaged to both of us," Jonathan blurted out, bewildered. "How can that be possible?" "She's playing with you and with him," said his dad, very serious. "The real question is, why?" At that moment, shouts were heard from below, a man's voice, furious and agitated. "Where is she?" "They told me she would be here." Jonathan and I looked at each other and ran down. At the main entrance was a man identical to the one in Trevor's Instagram photos. Tall, dark hair, dressed in a very expensive suit, with a fury that was noticeable from afar. He was looking at the whole place, the wedding arrangements, and his face was breaking down from pure shock. "What is this?" exclaimed Trevor when he saw us. "Why does this look like a wedding hall?" Jonathan approached him slowly. "Are you Trevor Harrison?" "Yes, I am. Who are you?" "I am Jonathan Pierce, Cassandra's fiancé." Trevor blinked, not knowing what to say. "How?" "Cassandra and I were supposed to get married today. About 2 hours ago." Trevor's expression vanished. He went pale. "That can't be. Cassandra is my fiancé. We've been together for over a year." Jonathan huffed with bitterness. "Well, truth is, she hasn't had much free time." Trevor looked at the hall again, focusing on the flowers, the chairs, the remains of Hannah's party. "She told me that this weekend she was going to a business conference in Boston, that she was returning tomorrow, and that then we could finish planning our trip to Bali." "Bali?" repeated Jonathan. "Let me guess. You plan to go next week?" "Yes. How did you know?" Trevor went silent suddenly. "Wait, did she book 2 trips?" "Actually, I think she only booked 1. Yours. Our honeymoon was going to be later. To Hawaii, not Bali." Without strength, Trevor collapsed into one of the chairs. "I don't understand anything. Why would she do something like this?" "That is exactly what we all want to know," I responded. Jonathan started showing him all the evidence. Photos, tickets, everything. Trevor's face went from disbelief to anger, and then to a devastating sadness. He just stayed there, looking through what Jonathan handed him with trembling hands. She played us both, murmured Trevor finally. She was cheating on us from the beginning. So it seems, Jonathan released with bitterness. Both fixed their gaze on Cassandra, who was still near the door like a cornered animal, not knowing whether to escape or stay. When did you meet her? Asked Jonathan. A little over 14 months ago at an event for finance people. She approached me, we talked, exchanged numbers. We started dating shortly after. Jonathan interrupted him. We've been together 11 months. So they overlapped. Seriously. Trevor rubbed his face, annoyed. She told me she was looking for work, investment opportunities, and I thought I could lend a hand. At that moment, I realized something. Investment opportunities, you said. Trevor looked at me again. Yes, according to this, her family had a tech startup and needed capital. She showed me supposed business plans, projections, everything. She said if I invested soon, my money would triple in 2 years. Jonathan pursed his lips, annoyed. How much did you give her? Trevor hesitated. $200,000. Silence filled the room. Excuse me? $200,000? Asked Jonathan in disbelief. It's just that she was very convincing. Trevor defended himself. She had papers, stamped documents, letters from supposed investors. Everything looked legal. I remembered what Jonathan's dad had said hours ago about the trust fund and the plan to divorce after a year. She was scamming you, I blurted out to Trevor. That company is a fairy tale. Her family doesn't have any startup. The dad is a dentist and the mom is a preschool teacher. Trevor went pale again. No, it can't be. I wish I were making it up. Trevor stood up looking at Cassandra. His voice sounded incredibly calm. You stole from me. You got $200,000 out of me based on lies. Cassandra pressed herself against the wall. It wasn't like that. I did plan to pay you. I just needed time to... To what? Trevor demanded. To marry him and grab his trust fund? That was your plan from the beginning? Trust fund? Cassandra's eyes opened in surprise. Her expression slipped. It was clear she was supposed to pretend to know nothing, but the reaction gave her away. Jonathan realized it too. You knew? You knew about my grandmother's trust fund? Cassandra opened her mouth and closed it again, but not a word came out. Answer! Jonathan yelled at her, overwhelmed. Since when have you known? I heard it once. When your dad mentioned it at a dinner, a few months ago. Liar, jumped in Jonathan's dad, taking out his cell phone to show it to Jonathan. After speaking a while ago, I started investigating and found messages from Cassandra on Facebook. From before you were dating, telling her friends about the trust fund. He turned the screen so everyone could see. There were Cassandra's messages calculating how much cash she was going to get from the divorce, specifying the timing and everything. She knew everything, the amount, the requirement, the deadline. And she chose you on purpose, finished Jonathan's dad. Jonathan turned to look at Cassandra, as if he had just met her. So all of this was a lie? No, Cassandra managed to say. I really cared about you, Jonathan, but there was the money, and I needed it. Just like that. You needed it? Jonathan's voice was pure ice. For what? To continue in the same thing? For more lies? Trevor was still in shock. What trust fund? How much are we talking about? $8 million, answered Jonathan's dad. His grandmother left it to him, but he could only touch it if he got married. Cassandra planned to divorce exactly a year and a day after the wedding and take half. Trevor crunched the numbers in a low voice. $4 million. And add what she emptied from our accounts, said Jonathan, pissed off, taking out his cell phone. By the way, I logged into the bank app and saw her face fall apart. Empty, he murmured. Early today, while we were all busy getting ready, Cassandra transferred $50,000 from our account. To which account did you take it, Cassandra? Cassandra didn't answer. Jonathan swiped his finger across the screen, seeing all the charges. Several transfers between 5 and 6 in the morning. $50,000 out. I felt my stomach turn. She had already planned to escape. Of course, said Jonathan's dad. She wanted to take everything and disappear. Surely to Bali with the $200,000 she got from Trevor as a tip. Trevor already looked like he was going to vomit. You were going to leave me stranded there, emptying everything and disappearing while I was who knows where. Surely yes, I said. At this point, nothing surprises me. Just at that moment, Cassandra's parents returned. Who knows where they were waiting, because they entered hurriedly, and with scared faces. Cassandra, we're leaving now, ordered her dad nervously. One moment, stopped Jonathan. We aren't finished here. Cassandra's mom, destroyed, pleaded. Please, Jonathan, give us a chance to fix this in private. We are going to pay you back. Really we are. Everything will be fixed. Pay him back? Jumped Trevor. And what about me? Who returns my $200,000? Cassandra's parents froze. No idea about Trevor. How many more did she steal from? Asked Cassandra's dad in a low voice. Defeated. Then Stephanie, who had been apart the whole time observing the disaster, stepped forward. She scammed me too, Stephanie said, barely a threat of a voice but serious. Last year, $30,000. She told me she needed emergency surgery for endometriosis, that insurance didn't cover it, and that she was going to pay me back in 6 months. Cassandra's mom let out a frightened cry. Cassie, you? No, never. I did have surgery, murmured Cassandra with a dull voice, as if nothing mattered anymore. I want my money back, Stephanie demanded. All of it. And with interest. Get in line, mumbled Trevor. Until then, a man at the back of the small group coughed. I hadn't even realized he was still there. He was one of the guests who had just stayed to see how it all ended. She got $25,000 out of me too, he said. She told me it was for her grandmother's funeral. That her family didn't have the means to pay. My 2 grandmothers are alive, affirmed Cassandra without emotion. And as if reading from a script, another woman stepped forward. She borrowed $25,000 from me. Said it was for a down payment on a house. According to her, she swore she was going to return it when they handed over money from a trust fund. Wait, she gave you the trust fund story too? She promised the trust fund money to several people, said Jonathan's dad, understanding everything. It was clear that the plan was to gather that cash, marry Jonathan, collect the trust fund, and then disappear before anyone claimed it. Suddenly more people started coming out, most with smaller sums. 5,000 here, 3,000 over there, but it all added up. And someone was already keeping count on their cell phone. When everyone finished, it turned out that Cassandra had scammed or deceived people to get more than $80,000 among those present. Mostly people she called friends. Add to that Trevor's $200,000, and Jonathan's $50,000. $330,000 in total. Cassandra was just leaning against the wall in her wedding dress, looking ridiculous in the middle of that scandal of fraud and theft. Cassandra's dad seemed to age years in just a few minutes. How could you, Cassie? Everyone here trusted you. They worried about you. I needed that money, screamed Cassandra. Do you know what it's like growing up seeing your parents barely scrape together enough for the basics? Seeing your friends going on trips and you staying behind without being able to go out? Having to use used clothes while everyone else always gets new ones? We gave you everything we could, said her mom, tears sliding down her face. Well, it was never enough, Cassandra spat at her. It was never enough. At that moment, Stephanie opened her mouth again. Daniel, your cell phone, the video. Everyone has to hear what she said about Hannah. Ah, yes. The video I recorded in the bridal suite. Just the reason why all this exploded. Play it, asked Jonathan, his voice cold and hollow. Everyone has to hear what kind of person she really is. I took out my cell phone and walked to the DJ booth. The place was equipped with luxury speakers throughout the building for music and speeches. The DJ helped me connect my phone to the sound system. Are you sure you want to do this? I whispered to Jonathan. He looked at me with those defeated eyes of someone who lost everything today. She tore Hannah's self-esteem to pieces in front of a few people. Now everyone has to know what she did. I hit play. Cassandra's voice boomed through the entire hall. Crystal clear. In every corner. Thanks to that expensive audio system she had to rent herself. I can't let Hannah walk down that aisle looking like that. She's going to ruin the photo with the $40,000 photographer I hired. Those who were still there, about 60 or 70 people wanting to know the outcome, went absolutely silent. You could even hear breathing. Seriously, Daniel? Couldn't you delete that with laser treatment before my big day? It doesn't match my aesthetic. I watched everyone's faces crumble. First it was surprise, then disgust, then pure horror. Some covered their mouths, others just shook their heads. A lady in the back said out loud, "Did she say that? Or did I dream it? Thank God Jonathan and I are never going to have kids like that. Can you imagine? I'd die of shame just thinking about school pickup." More gasps. Someone murmured, "I can't believe it." The recording continued. Hannah's little voice was heard asking if she was ugly, and then starting to cry. My mom was heard dropping the iron. When it finally ended, the silence was heavy. Instantly, everyone started talking at once. She said that to an 8-year-old girl about a birthmark? Who can say that to someone? Cassandra's face changed from defiant to embarrassed and then to furious. She was red, but not from shame, but from pure rage. "You recorded me?" she screamed, turning to see me. "You didn't have the right to record me. You didn't have the right to treat my daughter like that either," I answered her. "She's 8 years old, Cassandra. 8. And you called her ugly? Said she would ruin your photos? That you'd be ashamed to have children like her?" "It was stress," shrieked Cassandra. "It happens to all brides. You're acting like I'm a criminal." "You are a criminal," intervened Trevor. "Several crimes, fraud, theft, and who knows how much else." The photographer, who had been documenting everything calmly, stepped forward with his camera still recording. "I have everything," he said calm but firm. "The crisis in the suite. The issue with the photos. How the couple confronted each other. The money confession. Everything is recorded in 4K. Cassandra's eyes opened wide. "You can't use that. I'm going to sue you." "Yes, I can," responded the photographer. "The contract you signed gives me rights to document the wedding and everything related. You hired me yourself and accepted those terms. Everything that happened today is covered." He took his laptop out of his bag and turned it on right there on the tables. Everyone approached to see the videos. They were devastating. From the tantrum in the bridal suite where you could even hear Hannah breaking clearly and running to the bathroom. Then the fight with Trevor. The uncovering of all the scams and the recording playing on the speakers. Everything. "I offer you a deal," the photographer told Cassandra directly. "Give me $25,000 right now and this material is deleted. No one outside this room sees it ever." $25,000? Screamed Cassandra. "That is extortion." "No. That is called doing business," answered the photographer completely calmly. "I spent all day working on your wedding. I organized my schedule. I rejected other clients and now everything is cancelled. Because of you. I lost my time, my money, and even a day of work. $25,000 covers what I lost and guarantees this video doesn't come to light," he warned while pausing. "Or I can put together an edited version and upload it to my pro networks right now. No one is going to see any face but yours. Nothing compromising for anyone else. Just you shouting at a girl in front of everyone. I have 50,000 followers in the wedding world. Photographers, planners, florists, caterers, venue owners. Everyone follows my account to stay up to date and find out about cases like this," he explained, while Cassandra turned to look at her parents asking for help. "Dad?" she asked, anguished. He was sitting in the chair, sunken, with his face in his hands. "We don't have $25,000, Cassie. We had to borrow just to buy your dress and pay for the party," he responded with a tired voice. "Fix it yourself," Cassandra insisted, demanding. "No," answered her dad, already resigned. "I'm done. This is all yours." Cassandra turned to Trevor. "You have money. You could. Seriously, you're asking me for money after you knocked me for $200,000? Replied Trevor, without being able to believe what he was hearing. Cassandra tried Jonathan one more time, now almost pleading. Jonathan just looked at her and shook his head, as if saying don't even think about it. The photographer shrugged and said, well, too bad. Option 2 it is. Immediately he started working on his laptop. Just let me remove the delicate parts, blur the faces of others, and focus on what's important. Wait! Screamed Cassandra while launching herself toward the computer. But Stephanie and Jessica stopped her. The photographer moved extremely fast. You could tell he was already an expert editing this type of thing. In minutes he already had a 3-minute video ready. Cassandra's breakdown in the suite appeared there. The audio with Hannah crying. The discussion about the photos and the frauds. All the key points. But taking care that no one else was exposed except Cassandra. First, he showed it to a few of us and we all froze. It was super professional, strong, definitive. This is my last offer, he told Cassandra directly. $25,000 right now, or I make it public. Cassandra looked desperately everywhere. At her parents, at Jonathan, at Trevor. At everyone she had affected. No one was going to help her. I don't have $25,000, she confessed finally, almost in a whisper and defeated. Then this is where we end, said the photographer coldly. He opened Instagram, and we could all see he had 52,000 followers. Photographers, planners, venue owners, caterers and flower shops, basically the entire wedding sector of the region. He wrote, this is why I check my clients very well. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Colleagues, take care. Investigate and listen to your intuition. Without hesitating, he uploaded the post, and we all watched as the loading bar advanced. 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. Cassandra let out a desperate noise, almost like a cornered animal. In seconds, likes and comments started arriving. No way. What did I just watch? Did this really happen? Poor girl. Everyone needs to see this. The views went up extremely fast. 100, 500, 1,000. Other vendors began to share it. A venue owner commented, I'm putting her on the blacklist immediately. A caterer wrote, whoever does that to a child, never gets my service. A florist sent it with the message, maximum alert to colleagues. Watch out for this client. In 10 minutes the video already had 10,000 views. Cassandra tried to take out her cell phone, but her hands were shaking so much she almost couldn't unlock it. When she finally succeeded, she went even paler. My friends are writing to me. My coworkers. Oh God. Even my boss already saw it. 20 minutes later the video was at 50,000 views and the comments were devastating. This is someone without a shred of empathy. How can someone be so cruel to a child? Frauds are bad, but insulting an 8-year-old girl is unforgivable. May she never work in this industry again. The vendors didn't just comment. They also began to upload their own posts, sharing the video and adding Cassandra to the industry blacklists. In less than half an hour, her name and face were already on the lips of every wedding professional in the region, as someone no one wanted near them. Her phone rang nonstop. Messages, Facebook notifications, Instagram comments, emails, calls. Make it stop, please, pleaded Cassandra, almost crying. I don't want any more. Please, make it stop. I can't do anything anymore, answered the photographer calmly. It already went viral. Now it doesn't depend on me. An hour after having uploaded it, the video was at 500,000 views and the media started talking about the scandal. Local news, wedding blogs, gossip pages on social networks. Everyone wanted to know about the bride who insulted a child and also scammed half the world. Cassandra's cell phone collapsed from so many notifications. Now she was lying on the floor. The expensive dress balled up, her mascara all runny, her parents crying. Trevor in shock and Jonathan simply with a lost gaze.